I played every Shonen Jump game. Here's my thoughts. For starters, I wanted to give a huge shout out to you guys and the YouTube community as a whole. The response to my last couple of videos has been insane, and I am so grateful. We're at over 2,000 subscribers. That is insane. Thank you so much, guys. I love making these videos, and I will continue to make them for you all to enjoy. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notifications if you want to see more of this kind of stuff. It really helps me out. Alright, let's get into it. Famicom Jump Hero Retsuden was released on the Famicom, the Nintendo Entertainment System or NES for those in the West, back in 1988. This game, from what I've read in the information in the opening scene, is about gathering jump heroes to save the world. The series that are represented in this game are obviously a bit older given that it's from 1988, but they include things like Fists of the North Star, Dragon Ball, Saint Seiya, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Captain Tsubasa. It seems that the story has you using the Dragon Radar from Dragon Ball to somehow gather these heroes, but I'm not entirely sure about the details. The game is an RPG where you explore the overworld map as what I think is an original character for this game. Sometimes you fight enemies that are scattered all over the map, and sometimes you run into landmarks and get information, but my lack of Japanese knowledge means that I really have no idea what anything in this game says, and I can't really give any details on it. Whenever you run into an enemy, you have two attacks: a basic punch and a projectile attack. For the enemies I encountered, the best way to attack was to wait for them to shoot a projectile and then shoot one right back at them before they could move. I think I ran into a boss fight of some kind, but the boss absolutely destroyed me. It moved so fast and I lost all of my health basically instantly. Unfortunately, without knowing Japanese, I don't think I can really progress much further in this game, but that's okay because this game got a sequel. Famicom Jump 2 Saikyō no Shichinin was released for the Famicom back in 1991 and is a direct sequel to the first game Hero Retsuden. This one is immediately presented differently in that you choose which character you want to play as. This one is another RPG, but a bit more refined, and it plays almost like a strategy kind of game. Anyways, in this one, it looks like you also use the Dragon Radar again to find people, which seems to be kind of a running theme here. The world map has random battles this time, rather than just enemies scattered everywhere. The battle system itself is a bit more manageable than the first games, though. You can approach an enemy and take a limited number of steps based on some stat that I can't read because I don't know Japanese. You can then choose whether you want to attack or take an action like using an item. Eventually, you trade blows until one of you dies. If you aim at two enemies at the same time from the right angle, you can hit them both using only one attack. But the enemy can also do the same thing to you and pincer you, which kinda adds a little bit more depth to the game and makes you have to strategize a little bit better. Once you win a fight, you receive experience points and money in the form of Zeni, which I believe is the currency from Dragon Ball. After progressing far enough, you begin to form a party with extra Shonen Jump characters who can help you fight. While I wasn't able to get super far into the game thanks to the language barrier, I know that you can have multiple characters on the playing field. In addition to exploration, there's also shops where you can buy items, equipment, and all that kind of stuff, but that's to be expected in a game like this. I really do like this game. If someone ever made an English patch, I would 100% come back and play more of this. It seems like one of those gems that just never made it over to the West, probably because of licensing issues. Anyways, let's move on to the next game. So there was actually a huge gap between the Famicom games and these next few games. Jump Superstars released for the Nintendo DS back in 2005. This one is also Japanese only, and I couldn't find an English patch, unfortunately. Fortunately though, this one's a lot more straightforward than the last two. This game managed to cram a ton of series into it. Dragon Ball, Shaman King, Rurouni Kenshin, One Piece, Naruto, Death Note, Yu-Gi-Oh!, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Hunter x Hunter, Yu Yu Hakusho, and more. It really is a love letter to Shonen Jump fans, manga, and anime fans overall. Jump Superstars is a 2D platforming brawler. The fights are on various maps from different series that take place within manga panels. It's actually a really cool aesthetic. In fights, you basically have three different kinds of attacks. There's the main standard attack, a slightly stronger attack, and a special attack that uses your meter. The special attack can also be modified by holding a direction. Usually holding down up and using a special uses what I'd consider to be the signature move. D.O.N, for example, uses the world to stop time. Then you can just wail on an enemy while they're frozen. The modes available in this game are the main campaign mode, a wireless multiplayer mode, an offline battle mode, and the deck editor. I can't say a whole lot about the story since it was entirely in Japanese, but the general flow of the campaign is visiting different areas of the Shonen Jump world and fighting the characters you run into. Sometimes there's minigame type missions, but it's mainly just fights. In this game, you build your party using these puzzle piece-like panels that are called koma. Each Each one takes up a certain number of slots. Typically, the more slots they take, the more powerful they are. The smaller ones are supports that give you various effects during battles. In the battles, you can switch freely between the characters by tapping the respective coma, doing the same to summon the supports. There's also a mechanic where you can rapidly switch between characters to link up combos. When you KO enemies, they drop these coins that can fill up your special meter. They also make the Mario coin sound, which is kind of a fun touch. Something super cool about the maps is that you can actually break the pages on the sides to open up an area where you can instantly KO an enemy if they fall into it. Or, you know, KO you if you fall into it. Jump Superstars is a lot of fun, and it's a shame it never came to the West. Fortunately though, it did get a sequel that does everything it does, but more. But we'll get to that. Battle Stadium D.O.N. released in 2006 for the GameCube and PlayStation 2, but only in Japan, of course. This game is honestly just a feel-good party fighting game. It's obviously Shonen Jump's answer to Super Smash Bros., even down to how some of the items work. The roster in this game is limited to characters from Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto, hence where the D.O.N. comes from. The main difference between Battle Stadium D.O.N. and Super Smash Bros. Is that while you can knock other people off the stage, you can also win by lowering the HP of all the other players. Other players also drop orbs when you hit them. Collecting enough of these orbs puts you into burst mode, which gives you enhanced strength. The controls in this game are kind of floaty, and the characters feel kind of hard to maneuver. It's too easy to compare this to Super Smash Bros., and unfortunately that works against it. The modes in this game are a standard arcade mode, survival mode, a multiplayer or computer fight mode, an item fighting mode, and the gallery. The arcade mode, for the most part, is standard. The few characters I played through it with ended with a solo battle against Cell. During the battles, there are certain missions you can attempt which give you coins, and at the end of the arcade mode, you can use these coins in a slot machine that can unlock stages and characters. The slot machine kinda bothers me. Not necessarily the gambling connotation, but that they've made unlocking characters a random chance thing rather than a merit thing. I feel like if I do well, I should unlock content. I shouldn't unlock a chance at unlocking content, if that makes sense. Plus, 9 times out of 10, you're unlocking items for use in the item mode instead of the stuff you really want to unlock. This kind of system irks me, but this game doesn't have a whole ton of content, so I imagine this was their way of extending the playtime. Honestly, it's a relic of its time, and I guess it's still better than charging for characters as DLC or something. Item battle mode is kind of like Special Battle from Super Smash Bros. You pick a few items that are automatically used at the beginning of the battle so that you can get effects like everyone has super speed or everyone has better jumps. It's nothing too fancy, but it does add some variety into the mix. The gallery mode includes character profiles and a 3D model you can view of each character. Nothing too fancy. My overall impression of Battle Stadium D.O.N. is that it's a fun little party game, but it doesn't really have a ton of replay value unless you have a lot of friends who really wish Goku and Naruto were in Super Smash Bros. It's a neat little game, but definitely a product of its time. Jump Ultimate Stars is a direct sequel to Jump Superstars, and released exclusively in Japan for the Nintendo DS in 2006. This one actually has an English patch. This one looks and plays similarly to Jump Superstars, but it somehow feels a lot better to play. Plus, I don't know if it's just me, but the animations seem a lot smoother as well. Like, right off the bat, I noticed that you can dash now, which makes combat feel so much better. I cannot overstate just how much better and more responsive this game feels to play than Jump Superstars. Since I can actually read them, the modes in this game are J Universe Great Adventure, which is just the story mode, J Arena mode, which is home to the non-story single-player modes, a wireless multiplayer mode where you can connect your DS to someone else's, a deck editor mode, kind of like Jump Superstars, a mode called J Power mode, a gallery-like database, and a mode called Jump Quiz. The story mode is interesting. You travel between worlds and complete missions. There's also some cool scenes that pop up from time to time to introduce you to the worlds. This one also adds in a ton of new series representation, including stuff like Saint Seiya. Inside the J Arena mode, you can find ranking, missions, and a standard battle mode. You can also find the training mode here. The ranking mode is kind of like a survival mode with fight after fight. The standard battle mode is exactly what it sounds like, just doing standard battles with your chosen deck. The mission replays are various missions that you can do at any time. One of them, for example, is collecting every Dragon Ball before the time runs out. In order to get them from the other characters, you have to deal enough damage to KO them or knock them off and take the Dragon Balls before they can get them back. If you don't have all of the Dragon Balls at the end, you fail the mission. There's There's a few other missions too, like ones where you have to break all the walls before the time runs out, and stuff like that. I really like these missions, and they give the game a lot more variety and replay value. The deck maker is nearly identical to Jump Superstars, just with more options. Jump Ultimate Stars is better than Jump Superstars in pretty much every way. It feels smoother, and there's seemingly a lot more content. Of course, I might be a little biased because I didn't get to fully experience Jump Superstars thanks to the language gap. But in general, I had a better time with Ultimate Stars. I hope this style of game doesn't end with Jump Ultimate Stars, because I really liked playing this and I think it has a ton of potential for a new title. J-Star's Victory Versus released in 2014 in Japan and 2015 in the West for PlayStation consoles. This is the first one, to my knowledge, that actually came to the West. This game is an arena brawler, which is a shift from previous Shonen Jump games. The way the game works is you build a team of 3 characters, but you only control one of them. The rest are AI that help you fight. You fight another team, and the goal is to KO members of the other team a total of 3 times. You can KO each person once, or one person 3 times, or any other order as long as you get a KO 3 times. In addition to the standard punching and kicking moves, there's a special move you can use called a Victory Burst by filling up the special gauge at the top of the screen. Victory Burst puts you in a powered up state that allows you to use ultimate moves that are super flashy and super powerful. The gameplay itself is pretty fun, if not super hectic. Sometimes it's kinda hard to tell what's going on at certain moments when all kinds of stuff is happening on the screen. Buildings will break, a bunch of light effects from special moves will go off, and I'm just there mashing the attack button hoping my hits are connecting. It's fun, but it doesn't feel super precise, if that makes sense. Plus, you don't have a whole ton of control over your character's special moves. There are button combinations that allow you to use stronger attacks, but the signature moves seem to be linked only to combos. The maps are pretty nice. They're varied and detailed, but maybe a bit too big. It's also kinda hard to see where your character is sometimes, which adds to the confusion I mentioned earlier. There is a fun little detail at the beginning of every battle in that it introduces the characters one at a time and they all get their own special stylized font with their name on it. Little details like this are my favorite things in games like this, and I'm really happy to see it here. The modes available in J-Star's Victory Versus are J-Adventure Mode, which is the story mode, Victory Road, which is a separate adventure mode from the story, Arcade Mode, which is obviously an arcade mode, Free Battle, which is a mode where you can fight NPCs at your leisure, Online Battle Mode, which is pretty self-explanatory, J-Customize Mode, the Point Shop, where you can buy characters and cards and supports, and a Gallery Mode. The story mode allows you to choose one of 4 arcs, each beginning you with Luffy, Naruto, Toriko, or Ichigo. The story involves the characters taking part in a tournament and has you exploring the world map in a boat while completing quests. The boat gets upgraded over time and introduces new avenues of exploration when it does. The main quests are cutscenes with mostly unvoiced dialogue followed by fights. Honestly, the cutscenes aren't anything too crazy, but the content of the dialogue is pretty top-notch. There's also a lot of fan service, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. The story isn't a masterpiece or anything, but it definitely does the job. Sometimes you'll run into another boat, and that pits you into a fight against a random team. The reward for completing these fights is experience for your party and J-points to use in the shop. Sometimes the characters in your party will have fun little exchanges, and they'll include references to the lore of the shows, which is a nice touch for fans who know the source material. Plus, these games are pretty much the ultimate crossover, so seeing these characters have little conversations like that is really neat. Playing the story earns you J-points, which you can use to purchase a few things from the shop. First and foremost, you can outright buy playable characters with the in-game currency. Additionally, you can buy support characters and also cards for customization. For the record, there's also a feature in this game that allows you to save and view replays of matches, which is pretty cool. Overall, J-Star's Victory Versus is a good game, but that's about all I can say. It does everything it does well, but it doesn't really stand out as something I would go back to all the time, especially compared to something like Jump Force. And speaking of Jump Force came out for PC and consoles in 2018. It was actually released as a celebration of Shonen Jump's 50th anniversary. Jump Force is another arena brawler similar to J-Star's Victory Versus. You select 3 characters that you can actually freely switch between during battles, though. As always, there's a bunch of franchises represented here. You have the stuff we've already seen, like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, but they've also added stuff like My Hero Academia and Black Clover. Something new, though, is the addition of DLC characters. The characters can be bought individually or as a character pass bundle. Gameplay-wise, it plays sort of like J-Star's Victory Versus, but with a bit less chaos and a bit more control. It's now 1 versus 1 battles, and the abilities can be used whenever you like. You can swap between your 3 characters at any time, or you can hold down the character swap button to have the other characters come out and use support moves. You can charge up a gauge to use abilities, and there's a secondary gauge that allows you to use something called Awakenings. Awakenings are powered up modes for your characters, and sometimes there's even a visual visual change. For example, Goku's is his Super Saiyan Blue transformation. Unfortunately, not everyone gets a big visual change, but you still get the buffs. Speaking of visual changes, characters get visibly scuffed up and have their clothes torn as battles go on, which is a really nice touch. As soon as you start the game, it immediately throws you into the story, and all the modes are accessed from inside of the story mode's hub area. The general premise of the story is that the Shonen Jump villains have invaded Earth, and it's up to Jump's heroes, and you, to defeat the evil. The maps are a mixture of real-world locations and a few staple locations from the various franchises, like Naruto's Hidden Leaf Village. The modes available are obviously the story mode, online battles, and offline battles. The offline battles include multiplayer and CPU battles, along with the training mode. You can use any character you like in offline modes, including your custom character. In the story mode, there's also a mission mode with various missions that give you experience and can unlock extras like costume pieces for your custom character. You probably already gathered this, but in the story mode for this game, you control a custom character that you can create and customize at any time. Now you too can make a character who looks like a really confused cosplayer. Your moves come from various Shonen Jump properties, so your character is really just a big mashup of shonen characters with all kinds of moves at your disposal. You can customize the moves at any time in the hub, along with support abilities which grant you buffs. Some of the buffs are conditional and only take effect at certain times in the battle. There's a shop where you can buy abilities with the in-game currency, and there's actually a huge variety of moves. Additionally, there's shops for outfits and individual clothes too. There's also, unfortunately, a premium shop where you can buy outfits with the game's premium currency called medals that cost real money. These items are really cool, and it's a shame that they're locked behind microtransactions. Online play is about what you'd expect. I don't normally play the online battles in games like this, but Jump Force is a special case which I'll explain later. It's standard battles like you'd find in offline play, but you have the choice of playing ranked, friendly matches, or just finding quick matches with any settings. I, of course, got completely slaughtered, but I did want to try it at least once. You can also create a clan, so that's pretty neat. You can choose to join the story mode hub online or offline every time you start it up. Playing online shows you other players running around the hub area, and you're able to emote and see them running around in real time. There's not a whole lot of interactivity outside of seeing other people moving from place to place, but it does make the area feel more alive. This game got a lot of hate when it came out, but I think it's a really fun game and has tons of fan service. It's definitely worth playing if you're a fan of manga or anime and want to see all your favorite characters duke it out. In fact, I would probably rank this one above J-Star's Victory Versus. Something I do need to warn you about though. Starting in 2022, you will no longer be able to buy this game or its DLC anywhere digitally. That means that unless you already own it, you won't be able to purchase it ever again unless you have a physical copy. They're also taking the servers offline after this point, so the hub area won't have other players and the online mode will cease to function. I don't know what this means for the premium shop, and I really hope those items don't become unobtainable forever when the server goes down. The whole situation is just a huge shame, and it's really unfortunate that they're removing the game entirely. I imagine it's due to weird licensing issues, but it still sucks. So if you're on the fence about getting Jump Force, now's the time. I highly recommend this game. And that's it. That's every Shonen Jump game. I really hope you liked this video. Let me know in the comments which games I should play next, and also make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff as soon as it's out. That would really help me out, and we're seeing a lot of growth, and I love this, and I love you guys, and thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day.